Welcome to the Key to Growth podcast, Home Services Marketing Unlocked, with me, your host, Jen McKee. Every week, I sit down with top marketers in the trades, from the brains behind $100 million companies to those scaling from 1 to 3, even to 10 million, breaking down exactly how they got where they are and uncover the secret to their success. If you're ready to grow your business and get real, actionable insights, you are in the right place. Let's unlock the key to your marketing success starting now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Key to Growth podcast. Today, I feel so lucky to have Josue and Kathryn here from Lee's Air. These two are very busy. They've got a lot of great things going on, and they made time for us today. So today, I'm going to be talking with Josue and Kathryn. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Josue, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, my name's Josue. I work here at Lee's Air Plumbing, Heating, and Roofing. I built the company for about 6 years now, and I played in a lot of different roles. My current role right now is marketing manager, and that will soon be expanding into other areas as you'll learn throughout the podcast.
Awesome. And then Kathryn?
All right. My name is Kathryn, and Lee's is my family company, and my current role is in mergers and acquisitions and business development.
Yes. And I really wanted Kathryn to be on this with us. So we work with Lee's Air at Key Marketing, which I think we're so lucky to have them as an amazing client. And Josue has been our point of contact, which is why I'm like, Josue, you got to get on here. I really want to talk to you about all the things that you do, because if you follow anything about Lee's, then you know that they do so much in data, not only looking at it, but analyzing it, making decisions from it and sharing it, tracking it. So I just thought this could be such an eye-opening conversation no matter where you are in your business. But Josue, how did you end up in this marketing role at Lee's?
Actually, I asked for the position. At that time, I was the operations manager, and we were looking for a marketing position. And Tom, his insight, he told me that he's been doing this for so long. For him, it's really hard to find a good person. And he told me at the end of the day, marketing is just analytics. And I asked for the position. He gave me the opportunity, and I've been able to learn and continue to learn many things about marketing. And the cool thing about marketing, it's constantly evolving, constantly adapting, which we've also seen in the home service industry these last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, tell us, walk us through your day. So I've mentioned a couple of times, and you mentioned the data. So what all are you looking at, and how quickly are you making decisions? Give us a little bit of insight into that.
Yeah, so lucky for me, we use Service Tie-In, and Service Tie-In allows us to create a lot of customer reports. So every morning I look at my daily summary report of campaigns that generated revenue for us and phone calls. So basically I'll look at that report to see what's working well, what's not working. If there's a specific campaign that I am putting money spending on, I got to make sure that it's producing the results for us. And one thing very interesting about that data is you got to make sure that all the segments of that call is working properly. So making sure the calls coming in, making sure the CSR is answering, making sure they know about the promotion or about the service, making sure they're booking it to the right technician or plumber, and then making sure the technician or plumber does a great job out in the field. So that's where I look at. And I have found some campaigns where I'll look at it and it's a dead number. I'm like, oh crap, it's a dead number. Let's go get that fixed. Or it's going to the raw call center. So that's what I look at on a daily basis. I also look at a digital analytics. So making sure that we're getting our website traffic, making sure that people are engaging, they're putting information in. So that's what I look at on a daily basis.
Yeah. So I know all different levels. There's some people who may have your job, but then also are the ones maybe even doing the work. And so how many different companies and people are you kind of managing and looking at on a daily basis? Because I feel like you have a lot of octopus terms.
It's a lot. Usually I have about 4 or 5 meetings a day with all sorts of people. Because we're do branding, so we do TV, radio. We're also on billboards. We do have an agency that we use for TPC, Google Ads, one for Bing Ads. It's a lot. I don't know how many people I work with, but it's a lot.
Could you share what percentage of revenue are you guys spending in marketing right now?
Between 8 to 10% of our.
That's pretty average.
Yeah, it really depends on how aggressive you want to be. It's nice that we live in a time where everybody does podcasts, so you can kind of hear what people are doing. And I was listening to one the other day, and the guy told me he had 1% of marketing spend, and he's like, "I'm stuck. I don't know how to grow." And it's like, well, there's your solution, right? And the big thing too is you gotta make sure you have a budget. If you don't have a budget, it's really hard to scale, to grow, to know where you want to go. And Tom has really provided us great insights on the power behind a budget.
Okay, so when you started, so Tom was in charge of marketing before you started?
Right. Yes.
So what did he give you over? Like, what was his advice? What did you have to start off with?
I mean, I had service time, right? He gave me contacted with people that he's worked with before and continuing that relationship with them. Also to knowing what's out there, a big assignment that I had to begin with was COVID started. And so basically one thing we noticed was because COVID started and everybody didn't know what was happening, a lot of people were actually canceling their contracts with some branding marketing. And big one was billboards. We noticed that a lot of people were canceling their billboard contracts. And basically we asked the company like, hey, recognize that, a lot of your clients are canceling because they don't know what's going on. Let's make a deal. Let's see if we can be more aggressive on this. And we did it. I think at one point we had over 100 billboards in the Fresno area. Yeah. So it was cool.
Okay, so that podcast that you did with Tom. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Josue was on the Howard podcast. How long ago was that? It wasn't that long ago, right?
Yeah, I want to say it was about like 2 years ago or a year ago. And one thing to I forgot to add was because we've had a lot of people in this role these last couple of years, it's always interesting to see kind of picking up where they left off. And the one thing I mentioned in the podcast was, how many phone numbers do we have? And we have over 1,000 phone numbers through service type. So a lot of campaigns to look at and manage. And sometimes there'll be some that don't tie to anything and you're trying to look for that number where it's at and then tying it to the right campaign.
Yeah. So the reason I brought up that podcast again is because you're talking about billboards in the podcast. Tom tells a story. So I think a lot of people you mentioned the guy who had 1% marketing budget and was looking on how to grow. But I think also people start off and they want to spend a lot of money or like throw money at the problem. And sometimes there's some free things that you can do or things that are inexpensive. And so I thought that story was kind of fun about how he found some land. Do you remember what I'm talking about or maybe want to tell it better?
Yeah. So basically, he found out there was a lot of land out there that there's empty lots, and he got a hold of the owners or the property managed that lot, and basically asked if we could put some signage out there. So there's actually pictures on our Facebook. If you go to all the old pictures on our Facebook page, you'll see them posting these signs all throughout Fresno. And what that made us look like we're everywhere. So it was a really cool, smart strategy that Tom implemented back in the day.
For sure. I love that. So I want to go over to Kathryn and of course come back to you, Josue, in a minute. But Kathryn, tell me a little bit about, so you became the CEO in November. Is that still your title, even though, because now you're in mergers and acquisition? Yeah. But so what marketing, I mean, that's big and that's a lot of what you guys do, of course, at the same time while you're still taking care of your team and still taking care of your customers in Fresno. But what marketing and what role did you have in marketing at the time? And what were you looking at every day? And what are you still looking at every day in that sense?
Okay, yes, I have a great role in marketing when I came to Lee's. This is exactly how it went, something along the lines of, Josue, are you doing all of this? And he said, yes, he was. And I said, okay, we're going to need a team. That is where my experience in the marketing department begins. And that was it. So when I came to Lee's last November, we had a mission to grow and we've done that. I think we're like a 10x on our valuation. We're 10 times more valuable a year later than we were back then. And marketing had a huge part of it. But one part of it was realizing our goals for growth were so large. If we wanted to 10x our business in a year, what do we need to do for marketing? And it's not what most people think. Most people think if you pour money into PPC, if you pour money into digital, this, that, or the next, you pour money into TV and, into advertising, that if you pour money into advertising, that you're going to get a direct kick back in your sales. And what really good marketers like Josue understand is that there's a tipping point. You can pour money and it will grow, but once the leads run out, you're just pouring money, but you're not getting any more. And that's kind of just like very basic breakdown of it. So then we decided if we want to grow and we have so much to spend on marketing, how can we creatively distribute and allocate our funds to get the best return? And what Tom did give us, I think the greatest thing that Tom gave us at Lee's was a culture that makes decision based off data. There's a reason why we have 1,000 phone numbers, because we track everything granularly right down to the chip clips. We know if you called off our chip clip, and that's a real campaign with a real ROI that we really track, right? So we have all those things, and we knew if we want to grow, we're going to have to get creative about it. At that point in time, we brought on and a staff photographer and videographer that we have who captures all the content. It was at that point in time that we partnered with the Keyheart Marketing, who does all of our social media. Prior to this time, with a company the size of Lee's, Josue was doing everything. Josue was posting birthday pictures, and it's really hard to have meetings with all of these strategic partners when we're spending millions and millions of dollars in TVs and radio and billboards and Google and social media and everything else. You can't do it all. So the only part that I play in marketing, I can hardly spell marketing, to be honest with you. I don't know how any of our marketing systems work. I rely off the reporting through Service Titan, and that works out great. And then we have Josue, who runs an incredible marketing department. We have a creative team. We've outsourced different things, and we've 10x the value of our business, and marketing is a huge part of that.
Yeah, but I think that there's some things that I want to talk about that impact marketing and impact growth and maybe don't look like marketing in the sense that we're talking about. One of the things I want to come back to you in just a minute, Kathryn, is about your personal brand, because that's made a huge impact on Lee's and on you. But I want to go back for a second and talk about the videographer and photographer that you brought on. So when you brought him on, I think what's so interesting is not only does he create content that is posted on different platforms, but he also creates content internally, which is going to make an impact on your entire team. So because some people probably can't fathom the idea of having this type of person on staff, like what all is he responsible for on the day-to-day?
Oh, one thing I want to add to that was when we posted that job position, I had over 100 applicants apply for that position.
Wow.
And one thing that's very important to know is you want to hire the right staff. And what impressed me a lot about Andres was that he did his homework. He knew what our brand was. He knew what our culture was, but also too, he understands what our vision, what we're striving for. And a big book that Tom references. And so what I was impressed about Andres was he read the book, Building the Story Brand by Donald Miller, which basically focuses, how do you make the customer the hero? And because you can post a lot of stuff out there, but if it's not relevant to your business, not relevant to the customer, it's kind of a dead noise, right? And so that was really impressive with Andres and his understanding, and also to recognizing, to create that culture, you have to show it, right? One thing Tom says is make the invisible visible. And we have great staff here. We have people that have bought into our vision, bought into, making sure we take care of the customer, making sure we're doing everything we can to provide the best possible service. And that's what Andres does. And what's interesting is too, you get the feedback out in the field. We started promoting our employees on the billboards. At first, it was kind of hard because I don't want to be on a billboard. But now that we started doing it, people are asking, when can I be on a billboard? When can I be on a billboard? So people constantly ask when I can do that or when I can be on TV. And so it's really nice to engage because people want to be part of that, right? People want to be recognized. And we have great team members here that do need to be recognized because they go above and beyond for our customers.
100%. And I think people find that in social media too. Like at first you might get pushback of people not wanting to be a part of it. And then when they see other people a part of it, they feel like, well, how come that person's always there and like not me? So I love that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about your personal brand, Kathryn, and how you think that has impacted Lee's, because there is a little bit where your personal brand is very big in this industry, right? But at the same time that your personal brand is growing, Lee's is growing as a company as well. So I do think that there is a correlation there. So let's talk about like how you even got started on your personal brand, because it was kind of even before you really jumped into this role.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I come from a network marketing background. It was something I did before the trades. So I already had some experience on social media. And then, through COVID, we had those times where we had to become a distance universe and we had to meet over Zooms and we had to meet over the phone and different things like that. So I started to perfect those skill sets. And when I came to the trade, it was very early on going up because I was a service technician, service manager. When I went into management and started to go to some events with my brother and see a bigger picture, not just my own company where I was working at, I realized there weren't a lot of women in the trades. And there's a WNBA slogan that says, if I can see her, I can be her. And then I got to meet Gary Vee. The first time I met Gary Vee, I was with you, Jen. I remember. And we
both kind of snuck in there.
Yeah. Now I know the whole story and that Tom couldn't go to Gary Vee because Rilla was crashing Pantheon. He knew that I wanted to go, so Tom had slid me his ticket. And I got to ride Tom's, curtails in there. But anyhow, Gary Vee, when I asked him, how do I get more women into the trades? He said, you have to expose the ones who are already here. So my personal brand in this industry really came from a place where I said, I'm going to show what I'm doing. I'm going to go find the other women. We have a friends group that Jen's a part of that's full of very powerful women in the trades. And I assembled that group because we said, hey, we got to show people. We got to show people that we're here, ladies. Rise up. Take a picture, post a video, And so we started to do that. And then as that developed and I started working with more people, and we have a huge immigrant population in the trades, huge immigrant population in the trades. And here I'll go right out and say it. We have a lot of people from colorful backgrounds, a lot of people that made bad choices, that didn't end up in college somehow, that found the trades and developed the skill sets and learned skilled trades and skilled labor as a way to support their family, a means to the end, and different things like that. So I set out on a mission with my personal branding with industry while I'm working at Lee's to provide a pathway to prosperity for anyone who's willing to show up and work hard. And that's regardless, like I talked about, of your gender. Sorry, I feel like I'm losing my voice. Regardless of your gender or your race or the country you were born in or even your criminal history. And that's what my personal brand is really about. But in order to provide that pathway to prosperity, I have to do the business that provides the employment opportunities, right? And so if we don't have the marketing department, if all I have is one person, Josue, trying to build $100 million marketing department, I knew it wasn't going to work. I don't need to be an expert in marketing, and I'm not at all. Josue is. And so he assembled a department and we brought on strategic partners, and I continue to build my personal brand like that alongside Lee's is what I'm doing right now. And I don't know what the future will hold for me as far as even larger projects to make bigger impact, because there are millions of people that can benefit from me going out there and providing enterprise level sophisticated business systems within the home service industry in the United States of America, or maybe even in more countries worldwide that need us, and it provides that pathway to prosperity. And so that's what I lean into on my personal brand, that I use my personal Facebook and my personal Instagram and my personal LinkedIn and whatever else is going on, because the trades is a real vehicle to provide a pathway to prosperity for maybe millions of families. And I take that very seriously, and I'm really excited about what we're doing, and Lee's is a huge part of it. What did we just have? What was that? Was that like a holiday celebration, Josue? And I asked everyone, if you were here when I came last year, raise your hand. I said, if you've been hired since then, raise your hand. And what we've done over the past year, yes, we've increased the value of our business by 10 times. When you go from $30 million to a $300 million valuation in 12 months, that's incredible. But the side effects, what's really incredible, is the hundreds of jobs that we're providing and the millions of dollars of payroll that goes right into the bank accounts of the people that live in our communities, who are putting their kids through college, who are putting food on the table, who are buying clothes and shoes and making donations to their church and all those kinds of things. And I think that's what I'm most proud of in my personal brand and at least there. That's it.
That's so great. So, okay. And I think that you made this really clear in everything that you were saying, but I'm going to ask the question anyways, because I know you can make it more clear. But I think that there are things that hold people back from really investing in their personal brand. And some of it is just the question of like, why and how, it feels like egotistical, or it feels like I'm talking a lot about myself. Or what about all the people who are going to be judging me or saying things to me, whether it's like you're, the people that knew you when you were 20 years old, or the people in the industry that for whatever reason are saying things to you. So what is your response?
Okay, we're going to get a little spicy online with Jen. Okay, we're going to get a little spicy. I do not have the time, the energy, or the bandwidth to give a shit what these people think about me. If they don't like me, we just posted service.
And everybody needs to hear that. Why do you care?
No, Service Titan reports up with Phil Flasky's numbers, who are the highest in the whole country. And people are saying that's not possible, this and this and this and all these things. It's like, dude, it's a service. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's a Service Titan report. And that's fine. And people say like, well, if you increased your business value from 30 to 300 million, it's because you're money hungry. No, it's not. It's because I need $300 million if I'm going to pay $300 million in payroll and put that back into the community. And I know that. So I stand down in that. And sometimes it is, you know what? Right now I have someone recording me, recording with you. This is real life with that. And it's to show other business owners that this is what I do. And I have someone that goes around with me and you see little highlights on my personal brand. Oh, I'm flying here. I'm flying here. I'm doing these fun things. I get to have these meetings. Rilla just took me on this beautiful trip in New York. Those things you don't see that, like I land at 10 o'clock at night. I don't get to the hotel till midnight. I have to be up at 4 a.m. I live out of suitcases. I haven't been home in 4 weeks. I meet with all these technicians. I run these meetings. I'm in school full time at Stanford. Like my day never stops. It's 15 minutes to 15 minutes to 15 minutes. I have to schedule my phone calls. I have to schedule my breaks. I have to schedule my time to eat. I have to schedule my time to travel. I mean, it just never stops. And I would love to say that I am so organized and on top of everything with this crazy schedule. And it's like that because I'm just like A+ Johnny on the spot. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. And everyone knows.
That's why I was like, Kathryn, do you have time tomorrow? You're like, I do. I'm like, how did this happen?
I know I had a meeting that ended at 7, and so I had some preparatory time in between because we have this merger at 10. So in between, I feel like I had this preparatory time scheduled in here, so it worked out just perfect to be on here. But I mean, that's really, and when you talk about providing the pathway to prosperity for people, another reason why my personal brand is important to me is because it doesn't have to be my business. If I have a girlfriend or a friend, any business owner somewhere else who can take some of the information that I share and go and apply it to their business to provide more opportunities to earn money for the people within their organization, that's a way to impact the world. It doesn't have to be benefiting me directly financially. That's not, what it's all about. So in order to make an impact, you have to have attention, and you can gain attention very easily. Tom and I went live last night. I told Tom, I'm like, it's crazy that 144,000 viewers this month. Like, I don't know what's going on. Let's go live. And we're just sitting in Tom's kitchen on 2 cell phones. You think we have like a big production team or something like that? No, it was 10 o'clock at night in Tom's kitchen and we hit live. And when we wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 1,000 people have watched it. That's more than most events sell. When you go speak on stage at an event, you have less than 1,000 people that watch you. And that's the power of social media and the power that this industry has, where we can connect each other and grow. And so that's really what I focus on with my personal branding. And when there's people out there that want to disagree with me, or they don't like me, or whatever, I don't even know all the things that they say and different things like that. I just can't, whatever, that's fine. I love it when they comment, they're hating comments, because it just drives my algorithm up. I'm like,
Right.
Look at them sharing.
You're right. Kathryn just made some really great points. So if you've been on the fence, or you're like, feel like you shouldn't put yourself out there. One time I heard a Gary Vee video, like, how he records himself, and someone came up to him and said like, oh, Gary, we want to change the world. And he's like, okay, great. Like, how many videos are you posting? And they're like, oh, well, 2 a week. You can't change the world with 2 videos a week. You can't change the world if you're not putting yourself out there. So this is your permission slip if you've been waiting for it, to just put yourself out there. Okay, so the last thing I really want to talk about, and both of you guys can please jump in on this, especially Josue, but this will relate to you too, Kathryn, is with a couple of things. One of them is, so you guys are in mergers and acquisitions now. So if somebody, like, what type of marketing would be an asset for someone who is looking to potentially be acquired? Or is that something that you're looking at whenever you're looking at different businesses?
Well, for me, the big one is you got to know your numbers. You got to know what you're throwing money into and what the return is. A couple of years ago, we had one business owner come in, and he told him like, yeah, I don't know my numbers. Like, I don't have a budget. He's like, I'm spending this much money on this. And I was like, so are you getting your return? He's like, I don't know. Like, what do you know? Is there a tracking numbers? Yeah, it feels good, right? And I mean, if you listen to Tom's podcast as well, like, what thing he looks at is their financials, right? Look at what they're at and look at where bottlenecks are. And that's another thing too I wanted to bring up earlier, was don't be a bottleneck. I recognize I become a bottleneck from time to time, and I hate that feeling, because basically you're preventing your team to continue to move forward. And for Tom, for Kathryn, recognizing I was my own bottleneck by posting every single day on social media, doing all this other stuff, freeing my time to do other bigger things has really allowed me to excel. And so I think financials is a big one. Know your numbers. You got to know your numbers. And it's really helpful when you partner with people to know exactly what got going on.
Yeah. Is there anything you would add to that, Kathryn, as you guys are moving or to mergers and acquisitions, something in particular that may be an asset? I know that there have been people who have wanted to work with us because their social media helps them become more valuable if they have more of an audience in these different places. So is that ever something that's considered whenever looking at businesses to acquire?
Yeah, I would say if we're going to be, this is very frank conversation. If you have a smaller business and you're looking to be acquired by a larger business, one of the most important, the most important factor is going to be your customer database. So how you extract that information from your marketing. So if you're using social media, I know a lot of people building their whole business off social media these days. Make sure you're taking in the customer information, Make sure you're using strategic ways to capture customer information all the time. And then, of course, I think your backlinks are important. Make sure you understand who owns your website and different things like that. Make sure you have your hands on that information, as well as any Google and any phone number tracking. It's all really important. Your phone numbers are important to me. Your customer database is important to me. And the strength of your brand within your community, obviously, in the digital marketing is all really important. And things that we look at when we value, what we could do with your database and in your business and the potential for growth. Because it's really, whether it's private equity or whether it's someone like us, I'm looking to value your business. We're looking at the potential for growth.
Yeah, I think that's so good. It's like we talk a lot about right now the potential of losing TikTok. And there's so many people who are going to lose so much of their livelihood because they have such a large following on TikTok. And it just comes down to you have to own your own data. So you need to know if you have a large following somewhere, if it's on someone else's platform, you don't own it. And so once you have access to everybody's data like that, that's something that you own and then you can actually use as an asset. So that's really great advice. So looking at you guys are expanding right now. You're expanding a lot. What is your plan for moving into new markets and how do you get leads out there?
You want to start, Josue?
Yeah, Josue.
Yeah, going back to Kathryn, like you got to capture that information, right? And we've been very lucky that Service Tie-In has been constantly innovating and finding ways to help us capture that customer. And so nice thing about their API, it's open. So basically we've been able to connect our API to all these lead sources and capture that information right away instead of somebody putting it in manually or somebody forgets to do it. So basically our new customer list is constantly growing just because of our efforts and the connection with the API to capture that lead and give us opportunity to follow up if we didn't get the opportunity to capture at that time. That's a big thing lately. It's just making sure that you're integrating seamlessly. And also to making sure one thing we're implementing right now is AI and basically giving the customer a better experience in regards to not having to wait till a CSR answers the phone a minute in or 2 minutes and they can just capture the information right away.
That's great. So that was good. I know you went back on Kathryn's question, but what I'm curious about is what is the plan starting out marketing in a new market as Lise moves into some of these new markets?
Okay, well, I'll take a little bit from there. What I do know in the general idea of things, in layman's terms, we'll call it for people, is that right now, the businesses that we're purchasing, we are rebranding as Lise. So the strength of their brand is not so important. Those owners have mostly chosen to retire and they're trusting us to take over their customers that they care about and do it in the Lise way. So we are synergizing our brands across the board. It still means that you need, and this is the technical stuff where Josue's expertise comes in, is far beyond mine or the average operator's skill set, where you need to have each location. You need the GMB location. You need to verify that correctly as Lise. You need to get all of those things set up with your Google so that you show up on the search engines and all of those things under the Lise branding and the Lise ways, Lise names. So we do those at each different locations. And then we're on brand. Josue is the final authority on all our branding because he is the expert. We make sure we're on the colors. We use the same logos. We use the same uniforms. We're using the same uniform company. We're wrapping our vehicles the same way. We're starting to use the same wrapping company. We've got all of these things going going on, our building, our culture, our meetings are all done to build the synergies and the strength in our brand. We do partner with you, Jen, and I know one of those things that we started to do is do local social media accounts in each location. Nobody from Sacramento is going to feel a connection to a company from Fresno. They want to see their Sacramento people. They want to see their communities. They want to see their businesses. They want to see their parades. That's what they want to see on social media. Community-based marketing on social media has to be done by the community. So we're synergizing our brand. We're partnering with you guys for the social media to do each local market. Josue takes care of the back end of all the GMB, the GSLA, all of those different things. It's very important that you do that in each location and then stay on brand. That's something we've learned from Tommy Mello and the incredible success he's had at A1. Do your trucks the same way. Do your uniforms the same way. Do your meeting cadences the same way. All of those things. And so far, I think that we're trucking right along here, doing really well.
Josue, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think Kathryn said it really well, is showing people the vision, the kind of what we're planning for, and making sure people are on board and going towards the right direction. Tom talks about this. We all have to row the same direction, because if you got somebody rowing a different direction, you're just going to spin the boat around and around and around. And so I think people have to understand this is our vision and we're going to row this way.
Yeah. And I think that, you guys do such a great job of sharing and showing how important it is that your team and your operations are on point, and that, no matter how great your marketing data is, if you don't have the culture, it's not going to continue to grow. So I think all of that plays a part for sure. So my last question for you guys before we wrap up here is this podcast is called The Key to Growth. And I think that so many people are looking for like the silver bullet or the key to marketing in the trades. So I would love to know, what is the key to marketing growth for Lee's? So Josue, why don't you start?
I think for me, it's constantly improving on yourself. You live in an age where there's plenty of information out there, and finding what the information is. There's podcasts, there's marketing books. I'm constantly learning them all the time. So don't stop learning. Continue to learn.
Love that. Kathryn, what is the key to growth?
From an ownership and leadership perspective, finding the people who specialize in that area and putting them in place and making them the authority, not yourself, because they are the expert, and trusting the process. I think that we have an incredible, speed response to the changes in marketing, the way that we measure it, the way that we respond to it, the way we take information in and adjust our strategy and execute on that is very, very quick. And you can't do that without people who specialize in marketing, who are constantly measuring the inputs and the output from marketing. And I think our team does an amazing job at it.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, okay. Thank you guys so much. Why don't you share where people can find more about you? So you can share, like the Lee's handles, and then also your personal handles if you'd like as well.
So I don't do a great job of it. Kathryn does. I guess I like to keep my life private. But my email is josue@leesair.com. Feel free to email me. Also, too, I do see the messages coming in. So on the Lee's brand, so one message in, say you want to speak with me, if you happy to speak with you.
Awesome. And you can find Lee's at just lees.com. I feel like I should know this. I think it's leesair.com, right?
We update our handle. I think it's Lee's Air Plumbing Roofing is our handles now.
On web
On
and
social.
everything.
On social, yeah. And leesair.com is our website.
Okay.
Leesair.com, yeah.
Perfect. All right. And then how can you find Kathryn?
My life is very public. And you can know what I'm doing all day, every day on my Facebook and Instagram. Facebook is Kathryn Elizabeth, and my Instagram is Kathryn_Elizabeth28. You do spell Kathryn with a Y, Kathry. And I do actually have a LinkedIn that's like new and developing. I'm going to be a real grown up soon. And you can reach out to me on any of those, or I'm KathrynHoward@leesair.com.
Awesome. Thank you guys. This has been so insightful. I appreciate your time.